to share how I have received the dreams and goals that looked absolutely impossible in my life. And I've recognized there's been a common thread through every one of them. And that is this, that I have had to write my vision or my prayer in the form of a petition. Now, I didn't learn that on my own. It's something I learned from my dad, because my dad has said that the prayer of petition has brought the quickest results in what seemed to be the most impossible situations. And that is simply writing your vision, your prayer, your dreams, your goals on paper and presenting it to the Lord. You know, I heard T.D. Jakes say that years ago he was believing for a loan to build his big church campus. So he went to the bank and he's trying to get the loan, and they said, "We want you to go back and write a 7-year plan and come back next week and present it to us." So he said he went home, prayed over it, and he basically wrote a 7-year prophecy on paper. He wrote his dream, his vision, what he saw inside. That's what he did. He wrote it on paper. Went back to the bank, presented it to them, and they gave him a loan for $45 million because he had his dream on paper. And you know, that's what I've recognized in my own life. In those areas where things looked impossible, I'm dealing with stuff, of course, right now that look absolutely impossible. They look like they'll never come to pass. And you get your dream, you get your petition on paper and begin presenting it to the Lord. Now, I'm basing this on Philippians 4:6. And it says, "Do not fret or have any anxiety about anything, but in every circumstance and in everything, by prayer and petition, definite request with thanksgiving, continue to make your wants known to God." Now, those are some pretty big words. It said, in every circumstance and in everything, continue to make your wants known to God. In every situation, God is saying, present your petition to Him. Present your request to Him. Well, like I said, every means every. That's everything. No matter how impossible something may look in your life, when you take the time to get that dream, that prayer, that goal on paper, I believe it shows God you're serious, you're committed. You're not just wishful thinking. You're not just throwing some prayer out there. You're saying, "God, I need you. This looks like it'll never come to pass." And I believe God responds to that kind of faith and that kind of commitment to your dreams. You know, when my husband and I were believing for our first house, we needed $4,500 to put down on the down payment for the house. Well, $4,500 looked like $45 million to us because all we had was $100. That's it. That's all we had saved. Well, we went over to the house that we were believing for, took a picture of it, went back to our apartment, and we wrote out our petition. And we just wrote our prayer to the Lord. You know, "Father, we're believing for this house on Charleston Avenue. It's the desire of our heart. You said in your word, if we delight ourselves in you, you'll give us the desires of our heart." And we just wrote out our petition. And we said, "Lord, it looks impossible, but we believe that all things are possible with him who believes." So we signed it, we dated it, we printed that picture and put it on the paper, and we hung it on our refrigerator. Every single day, we laid hands on that petition, prayed over it, and believed God for a miracle. Now, that's commitment. That takes desperation. But I want you to know God supernaturally brought in every bit. Well, I forgot to tell you, that $100 that we had, we knew that it was not enough to meet our need. It wouldn't even make a dent in that $4,500. So we turned it into seed. We sowed every bit of it, the whole 100. We gave every bit of it away because we were trusting God. Well, we saw what God could do when we were committed, we were determined. He performed a miracle in our lives. Well, years later, I was believing God for a baby. I had already lost a baby, didn't know what was wrong with my body. Is it going to work? Am I going to have a baby? So what did I do? Made a petition, wrote a petition to God. And I wrote out exactly what I was believing for. A little redheaded girl with her daddy's long legs and her mom's intelligence. And I just wrote it all out. I even wrote born in February. That's how specific I was. And then I knew that I needed to sow some seed. So I hosted baby showers for every pregnant woman I knew. If I saw someone pregnant that was a friend of mine, I gave them gifts. I sowed as much seed into other pregnant women as I could. And I laid hands on that petition every single day and prayed over it. And I want you to know, God gave me the very desires of my heart. That little girl's 11 years old now, red hair, long legs. She just passed me in height last week. But I've noticed in every area of my life, when I've made a petition and been serious about it and sowed seed towards it, God has brought a miracle. You know, there was a time years ago I was believing to sell our house, and we were ready to start building a new house. Well, our house would not sell. I mean, it had been on the market for almost a year, and it wasn't a trashy place. I mean, we were keeping it nice, had it beautiful, and people would come look at it. It wouldn't sell. So I thought, I need to write a petition. So I wrote out my petition, believing God that our house would sell, and it would sell for the price we wanted to sell it at. Well, I laid hands on that petition, prayed over it, we signed it, dated it, I kept it with me. The house still wouldn't sell. Nothing was changing. Finally, it dawned on me that I never sowed a seed towards the petition. So on a Monday morning, I wrote out a check, decided I'm sowing seed for my house to sell. I wrote out the check. I wrote a letter to the person I was sowing that seed into. By Friday of that very week, which just happened to be my birthday, I get a phone call that says, your house just sold. I'm serious. I am so convinced that this works because I haven't just seen it work in my life one or two times. It's over and over and over. You know, when I launched this ministry in February of this year, what did I do? I wrote a petition. Sowed seed towards it immediately. That was the first things, was let's get seed in the ground. Let's write our prayers, our dreams, our goals on paper, and let's stand for it. And right now, to this day, even this morning, I was reading that petition out loud, calling those things that be not as though they were. And I want you to know this is not a formula. This is not something to get God to do something. This is a heart issue. And I believe when God sees your heart, He sees your prayers, He sees how committed and focused you are on seeing these dreams come to pass, He responds to it. He responds when you take the time to write the vision, make it plain. He responds when you sow seed, when you put some of your money on the line, when you say, Lord, I'm believing for the impossible and I'm going to invest in this dream coming to pass in my life. And then speaking those things. When you use your mouth to pray those prayers out loud and call for those things that aren't happening yet, but you keep standing for it, God responds to that. When you don't have a vision, you're not going to see results. You're just going to be wandering day after day, year after year. So I want to encourage you, get your vision on paper. Write it in the form of a petition, a prayer that you're simply praying to the Lord. This is your desire. This is your dream. Sow seed towards it and call for it. And if you feel comfortable sending me your petition, I'd love to see it. I'd love to pray over it and join my faith with yours. So if you're comfortable doing that, then send them to me because I want to believe with you. Next week, we'll continue this study on going after your vision.